Hi, Kathryn here with Handmade by Circle Art Designs. Today on my work table, I am going to be working on part 2 of a 3-part series of simple earrings to make for yourself or as gifts for the holidays. And this one is a 3D pair of dangle earrings that will be wire Christmas tree earrings. So let's get started. So as we get started, I want to take a moment to turn our eyes to count our blessings. I don't know about you, but this Advent season and prep for the Christmas season that is coming up, I feel so very blessed by the people the Lord has put into my life. We have been doing some amazing things in choir this year. And one of the blessings is that my daughter is the choir director for the church we go to. And every time we walk into that choir room and I see the faces of the people there and my daughter as the director, I really feel quite blessed. What a blessing. Now, what kind of things can you think of this Advent season that the Lord has blessed you with? So the pen is in place, and let's look and see what we're going to need for this project. I'm going to be using these beautiful little bronze fishhook ear wires, and I'm going to be using two head pins, and these are 2.5 inch. You could maybe get away with 1.5, but I'm using 2.5. Now the wire I'm using is a 0.5 millimeter, and this I got off of Amazon. It's probably about a 22 gauge, and I really love it. Next, we're going to be using all these beads will be in the 11-ohs, and that's a silver lined red. I just love that. And I have a silver lined emerald green in the 11-oh seed beads. And then we will also be using these beautiful silver 11-ohs. And I also have some of the real pretty bright gold 11-ohs that I will also be using for this. And I'm going to use a few of the this is the pearl white in 11-ohs. And then I have some of the gold 3 millimeter spacer balls. All right, that should be everything we need to get started. So when we're going to cut a length of wire, I cut mine about 8 inches. Each earring will have 3 sections to it, and each section will have a different amount of beads on it, so that if you're starting from the bottom, your longest piece will be about 9 inches. But we will build upwards. So let's go ahead, cut 8 to 9 inches. Take your bell pliers. I'm using the smallest on the bell pliers, and I'm doing a turn down loop. I'm making sure I have 3 complete circles on that turn down loop. And then I'm straightening this out a little bit. Doesn't really matter because this is only going to stay straight for the first time. And I'm going to, there you go, trying to get all this stuff out of the way. I'm going to start off with the green. That's going to be my main color because this is a Christmas tree. Now, if you wanted silver Christmas trees or gold Christmas trees or red or pink, whatever you would like, go ahead and make that your main one. And there's no rhyme or reason to this. I've added a couple of the red that will be like Christmas balls or Christmas lights. Then I go back in with my main color. Then I'll put in maybe 1 or 2 of the silver and go back in with the main color. And then I'm going to add, there's my gold. And then I'm going to add some of the matte white. And I'll always finish off, or try to always finish off, with the green. So as I said, there's no rhyme or reason to the way that you put these beads on. You really want it to be as random as possible. And for my first round here, I am going to start out with 16 seed beads. You can use 16 or 17. I guess you could go up as high as 18. It depends on how big you want your bottom of your tree to be, the loops for the bottom of your tree. But here's a little picture. This is the 16, and that's the way we're going to go. So let's go ahead and continue on. And remember I said end with a green? Well, in my first loop, I ended with a red, and I changed my mind afterwards and went, I really need to end with my primary color. Now you're going to take your wire and you're going to put it through that loop that you turned down at the beginning. Pull your wire tight. I go in from the back, go up from the front, and then I bring it back down. And you can go ahead and go through it one more time. I did that on the first one, but I have to tell you, I didn't notice that it made that much difference. So, but I left it in because that's the way I did my first one. I give it a little twist. I'm sorry, my hands are offline, but I gave it a little twist so that it lays flat with the circle. Now I'm going back in for my next one. And this time I am just, like I said, I'm doing 16 for these. And I'm just picking random beads. And I don't know about you, but I'm a random person when I put my Christmas tree together. I just look at it and go, oh, one goes here, one goes here. Oh, I got a hole over here. Oh, I want this color over there. And then I step back when it's all through, and then I take it off in various spots and go, wait, I've got too much red here, too much silver there, and start again. Well, that's kind of what these earrings are like. So once I've got my 16 on, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go through the back of the loop. And again, I apologize. There you go. I'm pulling it where I can see it with my glasses because I did not get my magnifiers out. And so it makes it a little distorted, and I'm not sure where my pin is when I'm looking through that magnifying head pin. But you pull it through the wire through the back of the circle, and then up through the front. Make sure it's tight. If you need to, give it a little twist. You don't have to, but on this first one, I did a twist on all of them. Now, as I said, there will be 4 circles on each round. And what I did was I made it like a 4-petal flower, or like maybe a 4-leaf clover. I put one at the north, the south, and the east, and the west. And the very nice thing about using this 22 or 24 gauge wire is that it's easily bendable. And once you get these done and you get your earrings put together, you can kind of move this any way you want to. So I went across for the first 2, then I've come down to the side. I'm putting on the third one. So if north and south, I would be putting on west. And then pulling this down. And remember, if you start out going through the back of your rolled loop, always go through the back. That way your petals will be in the same place on the loop. Because, believe it or not, I was surprised when I first did these. If I go through the front one time and the back the next time, one petal is going to lay towards the bottom of the circle, and another petal will lay towards the top of the circle. And that can work, but the first pair I made, I decided looked too messy. And so the next time I did this, I made sure that I always went through the bottom and up You can always go through the top and up, but depending on which direction you go, your petals are going to, or your branches are going to lay differently. So on the bottom level, we always do 16. If you do 18, always do 18. If you want to do a random number, that way, if you did 17, when you got to the middle, you could put your red or your silver or your gold or whatever color you would like Christmas balls right on the. Are you one of those people that I love the trees? They always look beautiful. I just am not that kind of person. But I love going into places where they have put their Christmas balls right on the edges of the Christmas tree, and they hang down like little teardrops on the branches, and I think that's so pretty. I'm sorry, I'm having quite a bit of trouble getting this last one to go through because I didn't quite give myself enough wire this first time. That's why I said I would do either 8 or 9 inches for your largest section. So I'm going, okay, come on, baby. I know you can go through there. Remember, when we put these together, you have to have a little space in the center of your, I hit it with my pliers, sorry, in the center of that loop, because you're going to be using a head pin to go through that. Now to close this off, I'm just taking and wrapping it once around one of the petals, and I'm going to clip this wire just like this with my flush cutters, and then I'm going to take my pliers and I am going to, I decided I wanted to wrap it a second time. Make sure you wrap it to the back, and that's why I had to go another time, as I didn't completely get it to the back, and I don't want the wire setting up on the front. So I've got that done, and I'll take the flush cutters and we'll clip it. Just like that. Always make sure you either point the wire down towards the mat, or you hold the wire when you cut it so that it doesn't fly up and hit you. And so that's that one. Now for the next one, I'm going to cut the 9 inches because that was just too tight for me. But if you'll notice, I think it kind of looks like butterfly wings before you start putting them out. And depending on what type of seed beads you're using, they'll be either picture perfect or a little different, because seed beads run some small, some large. So this is a picture, or what I'm doing here is I was doing a turn down loop. Now when you do the turn down loops, you want to make sure that you are taking little bitty turns, and you want to get it completely around. And you could do a big turn down loop and use bigger beads like an 8/0, or maybe a very small 2 or 3 millimeter crystal, but you would have to use a larger circle to give yourself more room. So on this next one, since we did 16 on the previous, we're going to do 14 on this one. Let me get you a picture. So for the second round, we're going to use 14 of these 11/0 seed beads. And I've done this again random. And if you notice, there's a silver one on the, a gold one. Last time I ended with a red, this time I'm ending with a gold. And I keep telling you, end with your primary color. Well, the reason that I say that is I made 2 pairs of these earrings, one as a gift that they have already received, and a pair of clips for myself. When I did the clips, I ended with the primary color, and I like that better. But there really isn't a right way to do a Christmas tree. I know some of you cringe when I say that, but there really isn't. Our oldest son, He is a perfectionist. When he did his tree, before he got married, he put all his Christmas balls on the very edges of his branches so that they looked like little teardrops. They were just gorgeous. He could only have 1 or 2 colors on it. All his lights had to be evenly spaced, and he didn't want any tinsel on it. Heaven forbid he should put the dreaded tinsel on it. I grew up the child of a woman whose mother put tinsel on all their trees. And so I love tinsel on my trees. So if you make a pair of earrings with this project that you have done spaced evenly, and to get it on the end of your branch, you're going to want to do an uneven number of seed beads and put whatever you're using as your ball or light color at the middle of each circle. That way, when you form your branches, it's going to be right on the tip of your branches. I'd love to see a picture of that. If you post it here, I have to tell you, I will probably send it to my son with a disclaimer that I did not make this. But he will love it. All right, here we go. So just as we did on the previous round, you're going to bring that wire to the back and go up that rolled circle. And once you have done that, pull it tight. Make sure that your branches are where you want them on your circle. And then we will start the next round. So with this circle, I did not go through the loop twice. I only did it the one time and bent my wire. So just like I was showing you, we're going to need 4 of those, just like we did 4 for the bottom of the Christmas tree. Now, what I would do, and what I did for my second pair, is I went ahead and I did 2 of the 16s at one time, and then I did the next round I did 2 of, and the next round I did 2 of. But to be real honest, I just didn't think about it whenever I was doing it to record for you. So I ended up having to stop the recording and getting the next one. Again, we have put 14 on. My hands have gone away. I'm having a lot of trouble seeing these little beads, and I will pull them up where I can see it, and then my hands go off the radar. All right. So again, I have gone through the back. I have pulled it up. I've moved it over where I want it, and I'm going to continue this till I get 4, and I'll see you in just a moment. And we're back. We have finished that up, and I've got my next tier. And if you put it with the first tier, you'll see that it is just slightly smaller. And when we put it on the tree, we will put it slightly askew from the one on the other side. Now, once I cut my wire, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the last tier. This is tier number 1 when you're making the earring, and it will be the smallest of the tiers. And just like with all the rest of them, you're going to take your bell pliers and you're going using the smallest loop for these 11 O's. We're going to turn down 3 loops. Now, did you notice I took and made sure my opening wire got caught with the turn because it had poked up a little bit, and I wanted it to automatically tuck into that circle. If you don't get it tucked into the circle when you're turning, it's very hard, even when you use your flush cutters, to get that wire hidden in that loop. With these earrings, it's not that important because the loop is in the center, but with other things that you're doing, you really want that to be tucked in. And let's see how many we've used. So for this next round, this is our last round, I have used 11. Now you can go ahead and use 12 because we've been decreasing by 2. But for my very last round, I wanted just an ever so slightly, I wanted just a slightly less large. Is that good English? Circle for this top because I wanted kind of a more pointy end to the top of my Christmas tree. And so I went with 11. And remember what we've said before, if you want to use a set pattern and you want your little Christmas balls or the color for your Christmas balls to be on the tip, then you want to use an odd number. But mine isn't to do that. It's just I want the top of my tree slightly smaller. So we're going to use 11 beads. Okay. Now, as with all the other things, we're going to make sure that our rolled loop is laying flat. You don't want it up on its end. And we're going to go in from the back. If something happens and your branch is up on its side, just twist it until it's laying flat with the circle. This wire is very forgiving, and this is a beautiful, beautiful piece. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do 4 of those as well. And would you take a moment to like and leave a comment for this video? And if you haven't already, please subscribe, and sharing this would be amazing. Thank you so much. And here is a really good screenshot of the 3 different tiers. Each tier is slightly larger than the previous one. And if you're looking at the screenshot, you can probably tell that I have put the bottom layer in the middle. So starting from the upper left corner, you should have the smallest one, and then the middle one, and then the largest one on the end. All right, so let's start this together. Now I'm starting off with these 3mm spacer balls. I put that on the bottom of the head pin. And now I am shaping my bottom just like that. Oh no, I was right. I had it laid out the right way. Okay, so I'm shaping the bottom one, and then you're going to go right through the center of that wire. Now you'll remember the first one I took and I had doubled it, so it took a little maneuvering, but once I get it on, then I am going to go ahead and make the bottom of the tree. I am not just making it like a flower, but I am turning slightly up the corners. Then on goes another spacer ball, and I'm putting the spacer balls on to make sure that they don't collapse down on top of each other, but it gives a little room. You know, if it was a trunk of a tree, you would have a little room. I took my pliers, I pulled it through because I was having issues. And again, I am going ahead and shaping it. I'm turning it so that they're just slightly askew from each other. And then I'll put my spacer ball on, and I'll go ahead and do the next one. And you know what? I can fiddle with these things all day because I love shaping this little tree. Isn't that looking pretty? So now with this next one, I make sure I know which one is the top of the circle because my wires will want to lay on the top of the circle because of the way I made it. And I'm bringing it down. I'm not bringing it down quite as tight. Did I remember to put a spacer ball on there? If I didn't, I will be so sad. Come on, baby. I know you can do this. Oh, yes, I put on a spacer ball. I'm looking for the hole in the middle because even though I was real careful with putting the wire, there's a lot of wire going through that little bell hole. So you just have to kind of wiggle it until you get your wires moved out of the way. And you can go ahead and get your layer on. And now these will spin if you're one of those people who love fidget toys. And our youngest daughter is a fidget toy person even as an adult. Then this is the earrings for you because they twist, they turn, they can bend. They're just lovely. Isn't that a pretty tree? I've gone ahead and put one of the gold spacer balls on the top because I didn't have a star. If I had had a star, I would have done that. Now then, when you're using, and you can turn down a loop, but I'm going to be using my looper. So I was showing you it goes across the jaws into the hole on the far side. You want to get that bead all the way to the top and make sure that your tree, and I didn't, that's what I'm showing you. I had to take it out before I did anything. Make sure that the tree is all the way down on your eye pin, and then close the jaws, turn it back just a little bit so it'll make a question mark. Just like, isn't that a cute little tree? I just love it. And then I'm going to take my straight nose pliers and finish closing this circle. You want to make sure when you close the circle that it takes all the slack out of that eye pin and really holds them in place. They'll still turn, but they won't move up and down with too much space between the different layers of your tree. So once I have taken and closed that up and made sure it's over the top, isn't that a pretty little tree? I just love it. Then by the magic of video, I'll put the other one right there. I just love these little trees. They are so pretty, and I have to tell you, I have worn them several times already. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach the wire to these, and let's see here. I am going to use the oval jump rings. I'm using the very smallest that I have, which are those little bitty 3 millimeters, because I don't really want to add much length, but my hooks, these pierced hooks, I have found that this bronze is very brittle, and so I don't like to open them if I don't have to. I don't have any trouble, or at least people tell me they don't have any trouble once they are put together and on, but when I go to open them, a lot of times they just break off. So I always use the oval jump rings when I can. So you just, with a twist of the one wrist, open up your jump ring between 2 chain nose pliers. Don't twist both sides. That will put too much stress on your metal. Then again, just like that, with one twist of the wrist, you're going to go ahead and close that up. And yes, it almost got away from me, but that is what the finished piece is going to look like. Isn't that pretty? I just love these earrings. I'm thinking about doing a set in the silver because in my later years, when I was young, in high school, the silver trees were all the rage. And so I think I would like a pair of silver ones too. All right. And again, that twist of the wrist, then twist it back one side and rock it to make sure it's closed. I always touch it to make sure it's closed. When you touch your jump rings, if there's a rough spot, it's not completely closed. There's a piece of metal that is slightly askew. So always make sure that there's no rough spots. And there are the finished product. Oh, I squashed the one on the right when I was closing it, but I just opened it back up. Like I said, these are great fidget toys. And at least that's what my daughter tells me. She loves them. She plays with them when she wears hers. All righty. So that is the finished product. Isn't that lovely? Thank you so much for joining me on this beading adventure today. I've really had fun doing these earrings. I had seen a picture of some and I wasn't sure how they did them, so I have to tell you I just played with them till I came up with something that, using my skills, worked. Sometimes I see things and I go, oh, those are beautiful, but I could never do them. But this is an easy project that any beginner should be able to do, and I just love them. Again, thank you for joining me. I'm hoping you are having a wonderful, wonderful Advent season. God bless you. God keep you safe. And I will see you next week for part 3. Kathryn, handmade by Circle Art Designs. God bless y'all.